Hello everyone, welcome. So yeah, this is another prediction. The very first prediction of Death Battle Season... Well, let me rephrase that. It's technically the first prediction of Death Battle Season 10, but it kinda isn't. You get what I mean. If you've not seen the predictions for Cole versus Alex, the Bill versus Discord, or the one that I did for Ant-Man versus Adam. But anyways, today, I'm gonna have not one, but two people joining me for this prediction, and this one's gonna be quite intriguing. It is Dark Souls versus Skyrim. I love both games. I've been, like many Dark Souls and Skyrim fans, I've been always curious to know who would win this. But now that it's finally happening, it's going to be interesting. So, yeah, I got two people joining me today. So right now, I'm waiting for them to get the, Okay, so one of them is inactive, but don't worry. We'll get it underway. So... There, I'll do that. Make it easy for myself. Add... Oh wait, do I not have a... Oh my god. Send friend request. That way I'm not forgetting. Okay, so add... I do not have him as a friend. Okay, so... Anyways, so, like I said, welcome to those who are just joining. This is going to be the prediction of Dovahkiin versus the Chosen Undead. This isn't the protagonist for Dark Souls 2 or 3, this is the protagonist of Dark Souls 1. So, this is going to be an interesting fight. So, pretty much all we gotta do is wait. So yeah, welcome back, Andrew. I had to restart the stream because, goofball me, forgot to update the title of the stream to be the prediction of this particular, battle. So, if you get bored with us talking about some lore, that's fine. I apologize in advance, but there is some unique lore to these characters. I'm just waiting for my co-host to add the other person to the group thing, so... That way we can get them in here. So far Death Battle Season 10 is off to a great start. We had a very, very interesting matchup for the beginning of Season 10, because I was not prepared for how gruesome that death was going to be. In fact, I don't think me or my co-host was expecting how gruesome that death was. But, it was a close battle. I think it just came down to better gadgets when it came to Ant-Man versus, Adam. I almost forgot who he fought. Also, got a bottle of water with me. So, yeah, that's the other reason. helping my co-host figure out how to add group calls. Anyways, yeah, so... Oh boy, just to get this underway, but don't worry, I got my pages up for Chosen Undead, mainly because I got the Dark Souls wiki as well as the Versus wiki, mainly because that's how we're gonna go with things, and I'd rather much use these because, well, if we're gonna get the right appearance for Dovahkiin and Chosen Undead, we have to go with their default looks. Let's see here. To add... No, not add. Make a... So yeah, we're getting our, another person to join us with this. TV/Storm the Hedgewolf. Yes, I'm doing a shameless plug, but I don't care. Okay, I think he... Never mind, I think he just added me as a friend. As a friend, sorry if this is taking a bit, but we had some technical things to do. Alright, so I'm gonna make the thing now, and... There we go, and let's begin. So, let's get them in here, shall we? Oh. There we go, getting my co-host in here now, so... Yeah, anyways, welcome to the prediction for Dark Souls versus Skyrim, otherwise known as Chosen Undead.
Undead versus the Dragonborn.
So yeah. Anyways, so yeah, there's gonna be quite a lot of lore talk as well when it comes to these two characters, because they have a lot of interesting lore.
Yeah.
And
Especially with the bosses in Dark Souls.
and which is why I'm going to be using not just the Versus wiki, but I'm using the Dark Souls wiki, which
Mm.
I'm gonna also recommend you the Elder Scrolls wiki because certain attributes are applied when it comes to the default appearance of the Dragonborn.
Mm.
So there you go for the Elder Scrolls wiki, and so so Chosen Undead is in the appearances of the promotional art and trailers as well as artwork. Oscar of Artura, being the elite knight that he uh, is depicted wearing the elite knight set as well as using the Astora's straight sword and broadsword along with the crest shield as their main weapons. This will eventually come to be the Chosen Undead's canon appearance. However, in the game, Chosen Undead's appearance and attributes are determined by the player, including their face, sex, origin, starting class, and equipment. So, yeah, that's pretty much their appearance.
Yeah, keep in mind that basically any weapon in the chosen undead's weapons can go through a wide variety of weapons that he can choose, and I mean a wide variety from great swords to regular swords to hammers to axes, basically anything.
So, yeah, pretty much any of the weapons you get in the game are part of the game, and they'll probably most likely mentioned in the arsenal whenever the episode airs. But like I said, with the promotional stuff, that is pretty much that will become the main canon appearance of Chosen Undead. So it's pretty much how did the Chosen Undead come to be? Well, after becoming an undead, they were imprisoned in the Northern Undead Asylum, rescued by Oscar of Astora, who drops a key into the cell where the Chosen Undead resides so they can be freed. After escaping from the asylum demon, they encounter a fatally wounded Oscar, who tells the chosen undead, about the prophecy stating an undead shall partake in a pilgrimage to ring the bells of awakening. Oscar gives the player an Estus Flax, which is one of the various tools in the chosen undead's arsenal, being healing, which I have to switch back and forth between both wikis. But yes, that's pretty much what they get, and dies in peace. Very much Oscar dies in peace. Trusting the chosen undead to take his place after defeating the asylum demon, the chosen undead escapes the asylum and is flown to Lordran by a giant crow.
A
So,
giant crow.
yeah, a giant crow. That's the prologue. That's the prologue. Basic summary of the prologue.
Hmm.
And pretty much when they get to Lordran, the giant crow drops the chosen undead in Firelink Shrine, which acts as a hub for player, well, chosen undead in this case, for the rest of the story. After
I
hearing
thought it was a bonfire.
that, the first bonfire is in Firelink Shrine.
Oh, okay.
After hearing
Continue.
after hearing the location of the bells of awakening from the crestfallen warrior, the chosen undead sets out on their journey. Various characters can be encountered throughout Laldron, such as Solaire of Astora, a charismatic warrior seeking his own son, the treacherous knight Lothric of Karam, and the Segmayer of Katarina, an absent-minded knight who frequently finds himself in danger. On a rooftop in the undead parish, the chosen undead slays the bell gargoyles and manages to ring one of the bells. Later on, they make their way deep into the infested swamps of Blighttown. There, the player defeats the Chaos Witch Quilag and rings the other bell. After ringing both bells, the gate to Sen's fortress is opened. That is the summary of the Bells of Awakening. Now, the Lord Vessel. After passing the trials to ring the two bells, King Synchrophromt, a primordial serpent, appears to task the chosen undead with another quest before they're deemed worthy as chosen. The they must go into the city of Anor Londo and retrieve the Lord Fester from Guinevere, Lord Gwyn's daughter. In order to complete this quest, they need to traverse Sen's fortress, an old proving ground built by the gods. After passing through the fortress and its many dangerous traps, Chosen Undead battles the Iron Golem, and with its defeat gains the entrance to the Forsaken City. Once in Orlando, they make their way into Orlando Cathedral, where they face Dragon Slayer Ornstein of the Four Knights of Gwyn and Executioner Smo. And if memory serves me correctly, those kill one of them, they get their powers. So, yeah. Anyways, Chosen Undead triumphs over them and gains access to the Chamber of Guinevere, where they are greeted by the princess and awarded the Lord Vestal. When Thomp sees that the player has completed their quest, he declares the prophecy set in motion that the character is indeed the incarnation of the Chosen Undead. And alternate paths, players given the choice to put the Lord Vestal on the Firelink altar, proceeding along Thromp's designs. In this instance, prompts that the Chosen Undead is the hero destined to see Lord Gwyn and extend the Age of Fire, continuing the curse of the Undead. The player is also given the choice to place the Lord Fester in another ancient serpent named Darkstalker Kath, an agent of the Dark Wraiths. Following this path will bring about the eradication of the old god and usher in the Age of Dark. The Lord Souls. To gain access to Gwyn, Lord of Cinder, Chosen Undead must satiate the Lord Vessel. There are several beings who possess souls powerful enough to do so. Gravelord Nito, the Witch of Azalith, Scythe the Scaleless, sorry, I pronounced that terribly, but I'll let it slide, and the Four Kings of New Londo. In order to defeat the Four Kings, Chosen Undead needs to acquire the Covenant of Artorias, a ring that is kept by the Great Grey Wolf Sif. The ring allows one to traverse the dark void called the Abyss. Upon arriving in the ruins of New Londo, Chosen Undead, with the help of Ingwad, drains the flooded city, earning passage to the Dark Wraiths and their masters. If the player has not yet placed the Lord Vessel before defeating the Four Kings, Dark Stalker Kaith will appear in the Abyss. The Duke's Archives, Chosen Undead. In the Duke's Archives, Chosen Undead confronts Scythe the Scaleless, an albino dragon who betrayed the ancient dragons and won Lord Gwyn's trust. During their first encounter, Chosen Undead is unable to cause any harm to Scythe and is captured. Scythe imprisons the Chosen Undead inside his prison tower, where the player cannot, or they, in this case, cannot warp out from. Despite the inconveniences, the Chosen Undead eventually escapes. Later on, the Chosen Undead learns from Big Hat Logan that Scythe is immortal due to the ancient artifact known as the Primordial Crystal, an old relic that Scythe stole from the ancient dragons. Chosen Undead then departs to the Crystal Cave, where the artifacts lie, and shatters it. This annuls Scythe's immortality, and allowing the Chosen Undead to slay him. Chosen Undead also travels to the Catacombs, where they defeat Pinwheel and acquire the right of kindling. The Chosen Undead then descends into the Tomb of Giants, where the Scavenger, Trusty Patches, tricks the player and kicks them off a cliff. Chosen Undead survives and rescues Rhea Thorland, a maiden who ventured into Nito's domain in search of Rite of Kindling. Finally, the Chosen Undead advances towards the deepest part of the area, Grave Lord Nito's tomb. There, they finish off the Conductor of Death. Lastly, the Chosen Undead advances into the deepest part of Lordran, Lost Izalith. If the player speaks to Quilana in Blighttown, it will be discovered that her mother tried to use the power to replicate the First Flame, but failed and was engulfed within it, eventually succeeding, but at a cost of their former forms. This killed some of her daughters in the process and turned others into deformed creatures, and only Quilana and a Daughter of Chaos maintained the entirety of their human forms. Within the city, the Chosen Undead comes upon the Bed of Chaos, the source of all demons that wander Lordran, and overcomes it. Now for the epilogue. Which, of course, I'm gonna also mention the Artorias of the Abyss DLC, which that's also its own special lore, but it is part of Dark Souls 1. But anyways, after offering the necessary Lord Souls, the doors to the Kiln of the First Flame are opened to the Chosen Undead. Gwyn, now reduced to a Lord of Cinder, breathes his last breath in the final confrontation with the Chosen Undead. It is here that the Chosen Undead make their decision either linking the flame or walking away from it. Depending on which course of action is taken, one of two possible endings will be unlocked. Whether the player aligns themselves with Cat the prompt will not affect the ending of the game. So, pretty much, there's not really a canon ending, but it's basically part of the story in later entries. So, linking the fire, pretty much the ending that it unlocked the Predicition kindles the first flame. The Chosen Undead offers themselves as kindling to the fire, sacrificing all of their souls. Chosen Undead is consumed by the flames, and the Age of Fire is extended as life is breathed into the first flame once more. However, there's also the Dark Lord ending. This ending is unlocked if the player leaves the arena after killing the Lord Gwyn. Upon leaving, the Chosen Undead is greeted by primordial serpents who bow down before their Dark Lord. Rejecting the Age of Fire, the Chosen Undead instead ushers in the Age of Dark and becomes a monarch of mankind. Whew! And then there's Artorias of the Abyss, which the story doesn't really affect the main story because it's optional, but it got some lore as well. So, pretty much in this tale, Chosen Undead is traveled back in time and wakes up inside a cave beneath some trees. Outside, they are confronted by the Sanctuary Guardian. After slaying the
Did you say
beast,
he goes back in time?
yeah, in the DLC known as Artorias of the Abyss, travels
Since
back.
when did I never heard of Dark Souls having the ability of traveling back in time? That sounds.
It's dark fantasy. It's a dark fantasy RPG. Sometimes none of it has to make sense, but basically they travel back in time to the ancient realm of Ulasil, where they discover the truth about the death of Knight Artorias and the fall of Ulasil. So there's just one section of this, so it's easy for me to read. After being dragged back in time, the Chosen Undead wakes up inside a cave beneath some trees. Outside, they are confronted by the Sanctuary Guardian after slaying the beast. The Chosen Undead find some sort of guardian temple where they encounter a giant talking mushroom named Elizabeth, who informs the player that the realm of Ulasil is being consumed by darkness of the abyss. She also tells that the player that Princess Dusk has been kidnapped by a creature from the abyss, and that Knight Artorias has ventured into Ulasil to put an end to the spread. However, she assures that the player that Artorias will be overwhelmed by darkness. Chosen Undead heads towards Ulasil Township in search of Artorias and Dusk. On the way to Ulasil, the player encounters Black Dragon Calamite, an optional boss that can be fought later in the DLC. Elizabeth's words are proven to be true when, upon entering the Colosseum, the player is attacked by a corrupt Artorias. The Chosen Undead has no other option than finishing him off, as he is unable to come back to his senses. After killing Artorias, the Chosen Undead can either give his soul to the Lord's Blade Ciaran so that she can complete the proper burial, or keep it for their own uses. During the quest in Ulasil, the Chosen Undead also meets Marvelous Chester, a somewhat sinister merchant who, like the player, was dragged into the past. He reveals to the Chosen Undead that the spread of the dark was caused when the inhabitants of Ulasil opened the graves of the primeval man due to the influence of a toothy serpent. Chosen Undead then treads through Ulasil Township in search of the dark source. Finally, Chosen Undead arrives at the Chasm of the Abyss, where an illusion, an elevator guides the player to an illusory wall inside the Chosen Undead. Inside, the Chosen Undead discovers an injured Sith protected by a magic barrier created by Artorias. In order to prevent Sith from being engulfed, shortly after rescuing Sith, the player must faces Manus, Father of the Abyss, who is responsible for the spread of the dark. Manus is defeated, and Princess Dusk is saved. Upon returning to Ulasil Sanctuary, they are greeted by Elizabeth, who tells the Chosen Undead that she will let everyone know that Artorias was the one who defeated Manus, so that his honor may prevail. However, she assures them that their greatest deed will not be forgotten. And that is the entire lore summed up in a nutshell for the Chosen Undead. Oh my god. So yeah.
Should I get on with Dragonborn?
Might as well tell the lore of the Dragonborn, because holy crap, I went through all that.
Okay, let's see here. This wiki article is divided into etymology, prophecy, and background, his physical appearance, not getting into it. And then there's the trivia, but I'm not going to get into that because they want to focus on the lore and everything behind Dragonborn. Let's see here. In Dragon language, Dovahkiin is a combination of the words Dova, meaning dragon, and Keen, meaning born or child, which is typically translated to Dragonborn, but it can be translated to Dragon Child. If you don't know what exactly, but he's basic, but if you don't know what exactly is the Dragonborn, let me give you a little fact about the Dragonborn. Yeah. The Dragonborn is an individual born with some physical or spiritual connections to dragon, meaning he can do some stuff that any dragon do, like speaking in the dragon tongue. But we're not going to get into that. The appearance of the last Dragonborn was prophesied upon Alduin's wall, a large edifice found within Skyhaven Temple. It depicts several events that would preface the return of the Nordic god of time, Alduin. The prophecy itself is dire, but scholars believe that its omens have been fulfilled and that a single individual, gifted with the same powers of the Thum, held by the dragons themselves, may rise to fight against Alduin and assure Nirn's survival. If you don't know what I'm trying to talk about, basically 3 idiots thought it would be a good idea by using one of the Elder Scrolls, which is basically a fragment of time itself, and try to send Alduin into the future. Fast forward a few years later in Skyrim, and Alduin managed to come back and try to resurrect dead dragons. Wow, way to go on the 3 so-called heroes that tried to stop Alduin. So Alduin thought it would be a good idea to go ravage around villages after being banished into the future for so long, and guess what? It didn't kill him. So he went to a village and managed to burn it down. Little did he know that he managed to save a little certain somebody with a stroke of luck, and that is the Dragonborn. So, what exactly?
I should also mention for the Dragonborn, since you're on this, their default parents, according to one of my friends, is basically a Nord. A male Nord with blonde hair and blue eyes. That, going by the box art and everything, that is their canonical appearance.
I thought he had brown hair.
No, it was blonde. It's always been blonde.
That's a Mandela effect for me. But back on topic, Alduin finally returned in 4201 during the midst of Skyrim's civil war. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, Skyrim has a civil war going on between the Stormcloaks and the Imperials. Raising an army of dragons from the dead, he attempted to resume his path of destruction. However, he was eventually defeated in a battle by the last Dragonborn and 3 ancient Nordic heroes in Sovngarde. Much like the previous Dragonborn individuals who existed throughout history, such as Rayman, Cryodel, Timber, Septim, and Mirak, the last Dragonborn has the ability to consume a slain of dragon soul and absorbs its knowledge and power, allowing them to learn words of power almost instantaneously. If you don't know what I'm talking about, basically, if the Dragonborn kills a dragon, absorbs their soul, he basically gains the power of the shout. Now, the shouts in Skyrim is pretty. The shouts that the Dragonborn uses can be varied, but they're pretty. They can be used for either tactical use or against enemies. He's basically the jack of all trades approach to life, suspecting that they would need their skills eventually equally for survival. His armor, however, of course, much like the people that played Skyrim, his armor can be varied. His armor can be a wide variety, and I mean a wide variety of what armor he would wear. Same as the weapons, not to mention magic as well. For powers, there's the shouts. There's Animal Allegiance, where she can shout help from beasts of the wild who can come to fight in his defense. There's an Aura Whisper, which is never really a shout, but a whisper, revealing the life forces of any and all. Then there's Battle Fury. which makes your Thum enchant your nearby allies' weapons, allowing them to attack faster. You can become ethereal, which the Thum can reach out to the void, changing your form to one that cannot harm and or can be harmed. There's bend will, which your voice bends the very stones to your will, as it gains power. Animals, people, and even dragons must do your bidding. But there's also summoning shots, like a calling a dragon. Like for example, Odaving, that he can summon for his help. There's Call of Valor, which is the Valiant of Sovngarde hear your voice and journey beyond space and time to lend aid. Then there's Clear Skies. Skyrim itself yields before the Thum as you clear away fog and inclement weather. There's Cyclone, which creates a whirling cyclone that sows chaos among your enemies. There's Disarm, which exactly is and it's that show is basically self-explanatory. Do you know what that mean? Do you know what I mean by that?
Oh yeah, I know what it means. Hell, I even have a friend who knows what that means. She's played Skyrim quite a lot.
There's Dismay, which makes the other enemies fear the Thum and flee in terror. Yeah, that's what it is. There's also a dragon aspect, but it can only be used once a day. You can take on the mighty aspect of a dragon, delivering colossal blows with an armored hide and more powerful shouts. There's also Dragon Lynch, which your voice lashes out at the dragon's very soul, forcing the beast to land. There's also Drain Vitality, which is both magical, coax both magical and mortal energies from your helpless opponent. There's also Elemental Fury, which makes the Thum imbues your arms with the speed of wind, allowing for faster weapon strikes. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. Basically, you're going to have to speak in dragon tongue in order to access these shouts. Like for example, if you want to use Disarm, you have to chant Zun Harvik. Or if you want to use Dragon Aspect, you have to use Mulqua Div. Or Dragon Rage, Zor Zal Vrul. I don't know if I'm pronouncing those right, I'm just saying. There's also Frost Breath, which makes your breath as cold as winter, making your Thum a blizzard. Same thing with the Fire Breath, except, well, your mouth is basically a flamethrower. There's also an Ice form, which makes your opponent freeze solid. There's also Keen's Peace, where it makes your voice soothes the wild beasts who lose their desire to fight or flee. Marked for Death. If you speak the chant and let your voice herald doom, as an opponent's armor and life force are weakened. There's also Soul Tear, which makes your Thum cuts through flesh and shatters souls, commanding the will of the fallen. There's Slow Time which is obviously self-explanatory. It makes you stop time. Then there's Stormclaw, where he shouts to the skies, a cry to the clouds that awakens the destructive force of Skyrim's lightning. Then there's Summon Nervir. I think that's supposed to be a dragon. There's also Throw Voice, which is a draconic ventriloquism. When your Thum is heard, the Thum is heard, but its source is unknown, fooling those into seeking it out. There's also Whirlwind Sprint, which makes you dash faster to approach enemies. And of course, there's the iconic shout known as Unrelenting Force, as the community would call it,
Fusurda! Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I had to shout it. I'm sorry. Anyways.
Were you listening to the shouts I was talking about?
Oh yeah, I know what those shouts are. I've played around with Skyrim so much I've even gone as far.
Lights, camera, action.
Ladies and gentlemen, OBS had to decide to crash in the middle of the lore speech. for the Dovahkiin side of things, but I'll try my best to edit it later. So I wasn't expecting that.
Alright, should I continue, or...
Pretty much, to sum it up for what you missed before the crash, Dovahkiin's got quite a lot of feats and skills down his plate.
Oh, there's much more. There's much more from this.
Oh goody.
So, should I continue where I left off, or...
So, I'm gonna basically sum it up. He's part of many guilds, he's battled a lot of things, and yeah, pretty much whatever he just said earlier before the crash, that's pretty much
He
what the...
casted 1500 degrees of Celsius spell called Incinerate. Traveled over 9 million kilometers in Skyrim, in basically 2 days or slash 48 hours. Has discovered over 450 locations, over 460 locations in Skyrim. Has walked the 7,000 steps of the throat of the world without a break. Withstood paralysis from Next Jelly. I don't even know what that is. Can withstand the damage of the Greybeard's shouts, which was stated the power to shake an entire mountain. Assassinated the Emperor and Commander Marrow. Has built 3 houses in its decoration. Has cleared Skulldufin, Labyrinthian, Corvanjud, Volenrud, Sarthel, Ragnvald, and many more in Skyrim's ancient dungeons and ruins. Resist the unrelenting force from Draugr Death Overlords. Defeated Mirak, who broke Solstheim off of Tamriel. Read the black books of Hermaeus Mora, which drives normal people insane. Cleared every single cave, tomb, dungeons, and catacombs of Skyrim and Solstheim. Has struck off ballista bolts that can pierce even the strongest of armor. Can withstand and wait over 24 hours. Can cause leg and muscle pain in 2 hours. Ended the war between the Imperial Legion and the Stormcloak Rebellion, has fought Daedras, vampires, werewolves, werebears, and many more creatures, has earned the respect and fear of several Daedric gods and masters, could dodge arrows point blank, has walked up extremely steep mountains without a horse. We all know what they meant. You know what I mean?
But yes, so pretty much, to sum it up,
I'm not done yet. Cured himself from extremely dangerous illnesses, can slow down the time immensely by zooming in with the bow crossbow, gained the rank of champion from all 15 Daedric princes and have possession of all 15 artifacts, became a master in smithing, alchemy, and enchanting, has an extremely muscle body, can command powerful entities under his command, incredibly stealthy, even more so enhancing his abilities with magic, able to turn almost entirely invisible, is able to hide from a legendary dragon if done correctly, and can either be a vampire lord or a werewolf. But I don't think they'll be including that in the fight. And he can join the Thieves Guild, Mage College, Dark Brotherhood, Assassins, Warrior Companions, the Blades, the Ancient Greybeards, who can shake them at world and mountains, in the Coven of Namira, the Imperial Legion, the Rebel Stormcloaks, Nightingales, Dawnguard, Volkihar Clan, and the Bard's College. And that is the last of his feats.
so yeah, to sum it up, for those who missed whatever he said about like spells or whatever, he's got quite a lot of spells. Same can be said for the chosen undead as well, since I'm going to go to the first wiki now. Since the first wiki, he has, let's see here, superhuman physical characteristics, weapon mastery, martial arts, acrobatics, stealth mastery, immortality, dimensional travel, time travel, teleportation, resurrection, mainly because of the bonfires. Quite a lot of spells as well, since that's also there. So he's master of pyromancy, he's got a lot of sorcery, he's got miracles, he's got rings, items, armor, glory, you name it. So that's pretty much, I'm not going to say every single name of the armors, but to sum it up for both these characters, they got quite a lot of fucking weapons and armor at their disposal.
Of course, there are his flaws, though. Despite all these incredible abilities, powers, and feats, the last Dragonborn is surprisingly fragile underneath their armor. They can take hits and die like any other mortal, and their reserves for mana and stamina for battle are limited, requiring rests and pauses, sometimes even in the middle of combat. And their dragon shouts, while powerful, require time before they can be used effectively again, ranging from rapid reuse, such as with the Relenting Force, to a full day of recovery, such as with Dragon Aspect. In any enchantments, his armor may hold wear off after a number of hits, needing to be refilled with soul gems. Not to mention, if the last Dragonborn is a vampire, they possess typical weaknesses as that most of vampires, and if are a werewolf, they can be noticed by vampires by their feral stench. The choices the last Dragonborn makes are often in dubious canon and are player dependent. And of course, there's his. And we cannot forget about the vet versus rookie of himself. And I can't even, and I'm not even making sure if I can make heads or tails with all these stats. His speed ranges from subsonic to immeasurable, and his attack potency ranges from small city level to universal level. His lifting strength is class 1 with telekinesis. His striking strength ranges from small city to likely higher to multi-continent to universal to universe level plus. His durability ranges from small city level to universe level plus. His stamina is basically superhuman, capable of going through entire dungeons while killing hordes of enemies without growing tired. His range is, well, it's an extended melee range, hundreds of meters with boom, spells, and ranged weapons.
So
Standard
yeah,
equipment.
so
There's what?
pretty much the subsonic speed for Chosen Undead, supersonic faster than before, can dodge and react to bolt traps, supersonic can dodge and react to the great bow arrows, and at least supersonic likely higher. That's in terms of speed. Lifting strength is
And
class.
he has the gifted intelligence. Let's not forget that. There is one downside of carrying the weapons, though. According to Skyrim, they basically have a weight limit of how much you can carry. Yeah.
So, but of course, like in both games, each level of stats can be player based. Say if you want more inventory, you're gonna have to level up the inventory for the Skyrim side of things. As for weaknesses on, I might as well say the weaknesses now, since this is referring to the weight limit in Skyrim. I might as well say the weaknesses for Chosen Undead. So Chosen Undead can only attune up to 10 spells, 12 of utilizing the White Seance Ring and the Dark Moon Seance Ring at a time, and cannot attune new spells in combat. And basically, the intelligence varies from average to genius depending on their starting class, but since it'll most likely be knight that they'll go base it upon, because, well, that's what the promotional art stands by. And but I am going to briefly just mention one of the standard equipment offensive items that they have is the Dragon Head Stone and the Dragon Torso Stone, which allows them to become a dragon. Since they have so many different.
Can you go back on that real quick, please? What'd you say
The
about
dragon.
turning into a dragon?
So basically, the Dragon Head Stone and the Dragon Torso Stone allows them to gain. They're stones imbued with the power of the dragons, right? The apostles of the ancient dragons. Dragon Headstone. I don't know why I said Stone Headstone, but basically the Dragon Headstone, well, it does what exactly it says on the name. It gives you the head of a dragon and emit dragon breath. The Torso Stone gains the torso of a dragon and also roars like a dragon. And each entry has their own variant of a dragon's head and torso stone, but since we're going by Chosen Undead, it'll be the one from Dark Souls 1. So yeah, like I said, I'm not going to say every single name of the weapons that you can get throughout the Dark Souls, but there is quite a lot. from straight swords, curved swords, thrusting swords, and katanas. There's great swords, there's axes, there's polearms, hammers, and dagger, as well as others like daggers and gauntlets and whips. And you got
You think they'll be able to let him use the iconic Souls sword? You know, the Great Light Moon Sword or whatever it's called.
I don't. Again, it's. I don't know if that's in straight sword. Is it curved sword? I'm not seeing the moon sword in here. So, then again, I don't think it's probably in Dark Souls 1. So that's probably another issue.
It's called the Moonlight Great Sword. That's
Man.
what it is.
Oh, it's under Great Sword. There it is. So this sword, one of the rare dragon weapons that came from the Tale of Seath and the Scaleless, the pale white dragon who betrayed his own. Seath is the grandfather sorcerer, and this sword is imbued with his magic, which should now be unleashed as a wave of moonlight. Also, it raises players' magic defense by 40 points.
Keep in mind that the Moonlight Greatsword can be varied in different games, such as like Bloodborne, Neo, and Elden Ring. Basically, in order to get the Moonlight Greatsword in Elden Ring, you have to marry Ronnie.
But since those games are totally different stories, and well, they're Souls-like games, but basically with the same gameplay mechanics, but they're not necessarily linked to the lore of Dark Souls.
Yeah.
So pretty much, they'll probably most likely include all the weapons that they'll have, albeit they're gonna have to work. Most likely, when it comes to the inventory stat or whatever for Skyrim, they'll have to work around a decent amount of carry limit that will work in favor of the chosen undead. And like I said, he's got quite a lot of armors as well, including, yes, the Dragon Slayer armor as well, the Ornstein set.
Unless if they let him use the Daedric armor as well as the Daedric sword. I don't know who would be able to win this thing. It is kind of depicted on who would win depending on the armor or the weapons of what they have.
Knowing the fact that Dovahkiin, to sum it up, Dovahkiin was able to take on legions of undead, including vampires, which they're classified as undead as well, so I could say that if there's a way to break the cycle of resurrection, aka the undead curse, that's going to be one challenge that I think Dovahkiin might be able to do. But that's if he can break the never-ending cycle of resurrection.
What exactly is the cycle of resurrection in Dark Souls? How does that work? Because that always confuses me.
Let me look it up for you. The Undead Curse. Basically, but just briefly from the Dark Souls wiki, the Undead Curse is basically a curse of undeath that was created by Gwyn, the Lord of Cinder, refused to relinquish the Age of Fire to make way for the Age of Dark. How undeath is transmitted is unknown, but is almost always a curse regardless of the victim's intentions. However, some individuals, like Solaire of Astora, willingly embrace the undeath. All those becoming undead are burdened with the dark sign. And furthermore, according to the Aldea Scholar of the First Sin, the Lord of Light Gwyn banished the dark and all that stemmed from humanity. And basically, symptoms for this. Unlike the living, the undead do not perish with death. Instead, they are resurrected at bonfires. However, in time, they gradually lose their sanity and intelligence, called hollowing. Unless they can procure humanity can be used at bonfires to reverse hollowing, but not undeath. An undead has fully lost their sanity, known as an undead that has fully lost their sanity is known as a hollow. Hollows are universally hostile to loose-lived individuals, including other undead. Another effect of undeath is gradual decay of the body over time. This effect is reversed when hollowing is reversed. However, note that a certain point Halloween itself becomes irreversible. It is also mentioned by Eldia that the illusion of love is said to cease when the dark sign touches a human's flesh. Also, as a social status, as a general rule, the undead are treated with hostility by the living. Game lore suggests that undead are hunted down by followers of Allfather Lloyd in the lands of the living, who round them up and send them to an asylum with no hope of release. Many characters that the chosen undead the player meets, mentions the stigma that they faced from the rest of society before they left their former homes. However, some undead were treated with respect. For example, Paladin Leroy, the first undead from the Way of the White, was granted the treasures of the giant and Sanctus by his order. So yeah. To sum it up, that's the undead curse. If there is a way for Dovahkiin to break such a curse, he might have a chance. So it
How do you break the curse?
that's the thing. I don't think they ever explained if the curse is breakable. I don't know.
I looked this up, and it says here the most common way to remove the curse status is by using a purging stone. Oh wait, hold on. No, I don't think that's the undead curse.
Let's see here. Firelink Shrine, depths and the depths for 6,000 souls. That's the pretty much the.
It says here, throughout the series, many characters seek a cure for the curse, either by linking the flame or finding the Lord Vessel, an ancient artifact said to have the power to break the curse. The player chooses whether to prolong the Age of Fire by linking the flame or to let it die out and bring forth the Dark Age. You're right, I don't think there is a way to break the curse.
So yeah, it's gonna be tough for Dovahkiin to put the chosen undead out of its misery.
Yeah, this is going to be a really, really tough pick on who's going to win. My money's on Dovahkiin.
I really don't know if it's going to be Dovahkiin winning, or if Chosen Undead finds a way to put an end to the Dragonborn.
To be fair, they could have just at least tried to find a canon character in Skyrim and made him fight against a canon Dark Souls character just to avoid confusion.
Both of these characters are canon. If you go by the canon appearance on the box arts, that's what they look like, and that's what their canon appearance is. Because the Chosen Undead's appearance is basically the Elite Knight armor with the Astora's straight sword.
Talking about a boss character, like who would win against who?
I mean they'll probably do that eventually, but so sum it up for those who didn't get quite of the Dragonborn's feats. They got quite a lot of those as well, and so yeah, there's a lot of different stuff that the Chosen Undead has as well. Like, pretty much, Chosen Undead's also got their resistances to, like, madness manipulation, memory manipulation, poison manipulation, disease manipulation, fire manipulation, temperature manipulation, magnet manipulation, and explosion manipulation, electricity manipulation, resistance to magic, curse manipulation, and holy manipulation, resurrection nullification, and acid manipulation. So, yeah. they got quite a lot of stuff in there, since it took me a bit just to read the entire lore of the in summarization of the entire story of Dark Souls 1 in a nutshell, just to understand what the Chosen Undead is. So yeah, if basically it's gonna come down to this. Will Dovahkiin have a way to break the cycles of resurrection on the Chosen Undead? That's the question that a lot of Dark Souls fans, as well as Skyrim fans, have been asking all over the years.
I guess we'll have to find out. Until then, we're going to have to wait for the full fight.
So
Thank you, Storm, for having me on your prediction, and I'll see you 2 weeks for the full fight. By the way, today is my birthday.
oh yeah, so happy birthday to my co-host, because figured I'd mention that now, so we don't forget. And of course my
right now I am 19 this year.
That's awesome. But yes. So Dark Souls versus Skyrim. It's gonna be one interesting dark fantasy RPG type of fight. I don't know who's gonna land the killing blow first, and if Dovahkiin can break the undead's curse of resurrection and all that craziness.
Thank you,
boy.
Storm, for having me on the prediction, and I'll see you in 2 weeks for the full fight.
Not a problem. But yes, that would be it. So for those who see this on YouTube later, if you see a segment get cut out, just briefly, we were kind of explaining that the feats of the Dovahkiin, and the OBS kind of decided to have a fit. So apologies for that. If you want to explain more of the lore of Dovahkiin in the comments, I am going to be grateful for it, because we are going to actually need this, because I was not expecting OBS to actually break in the middle of this. So, till then, your Captain Ashley signing off. I'll see you in the next stream. So good day, people.